Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Comedy Closet. I'm your host, Mango Avocado. This is the show that attempts to get would-be comedians to come out of their respective closets, hopefully wearing something appropriate to their gender. Anyone can appear on the Comedy Closet, but we do have a few ground rules and some built-in limitations. As you can see, the Comedy Closet isn't for everyone. I mean, John Candy probably couldn't work in here unless we greased the walls or something. But if you're a small to normal-sized closet comedian, you can get on the show by calling Missoula Cable Access Television 542-MCAT and leaving your name and phone number, or write Back 40 Productions, Box 8293, Missoula, Montana 59807. Speaking of closets, have you heard burglars have raided Zsa Zsa Gabor's closet and made off with a wedding dress? Yeah, she knew it was missing because there was an empty space between dress number 5 and dress number 7. You know, down at the Beverly Hills Bridal Shop, she's known as Snow White and the Seven Grooms. In other Zsa Zsa news today, Miss Gabor is back in court. This time, she's suing the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. She claims they purposely turned the Hubble telescope around so they could peek through her bedroom window. The judge ordered NASA to buy her a set of curtains, but that wasn't enough. Miss Gabor is demanding that they put a Beverly Hills policeman into orbit. The judge must have been thinking about how effective that gag order was that they issued during a traffic court trial, because he's ordered Miss Gabor to have her tube tied, the esophagus. Now, one more thing about MCATV and the Comedy Closet. No one down here gets paid. Not even those of us in desperate need of a paycheck. So if you can't be funny and broke at the same time, don't call. However, there are some sneaky little ways of making a buck if you know what you're doing. For instance, I've written this song especially for Jimmy Buffett. And I'm going to do it here as soon as I can run over to our recording studio. So if Jimmy isn't watching, would someone go get him? I really would like to unload this tune for some of that long green, and I'm not talking about seaweed here, Jimmy. Because if you don't call, I'm going to go offer this thing to that B. Hoppy fella. You know, I'd come right out and say it. However, there are some sneaky little ways of making a buck here if you know what you're doing. For instance, I've written this song especially for Jimmy Buffett, and I'm going to run right over to our recording studio and do it right now. So if Jimmy isn't watching, would someone go out and get him? I'd really like to unload this tune for some of that long green, and I'm not talking about seaweed here, Jimmy, because if you don't buy this thing, I'm going to offer it to that B. Hoppy fella. You know, I'd come right out and say, send money, but we're not allowed to use the M word here on public access television. Here, then, is my tune, Jack Crevalle. I'm afraid I have to do this Acapulco, Jimmy, but feel free to grab a pair of Moroccans and join in the fun. Hi, yeah, it's me again. I'm back. They didn't have room for me over there at the recording studio, so you're going to have to bear with me here. The acoustics here aren't as good as they are over there, but if you think the Comedy Closet is small, you should see the audio recording studio. They got a couple of opera stars wedged in over there, and somebody had to go out for a bucket of lard. So I'm going to do my tune right here. This is called Jack Crevalle. And I hope you're listening, Jimmy. Down to the islands of Tobago, me and my woman we did go. Lying under the tropic sun, moon come out, we have nighttime fun. Ay, 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 look straight up in the sky. I got no worry, I got no debt. I gotta go, but I don't go yet. In the jungle we spend the night, monkey house somewhere out of sight. When sun get hot in the middle of day, underwater we go to play. Ay, 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 look straight up in the sky. I got no worry and I got no debt. I gotta go, but I don't go yet. Big sailboat come to island today. Rich young man, take my woman away. But I'm not worried and I won't fight. From my tropical island I can see the light. Ay, 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 look straight up in the sky. I got no worry and I got no debt. I gotta go, but I don't go yet. Morning come, pick fruit from tree. Dinner gonna come from the deep blue sea. Avocado and tangerine, blue and purple aquamarine. Ay, 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 where I'm gonna go when I die. I make no plans and I make no bet. I gotta go, but I don't go yet. Wake up early most every day, hunt the turtle down at Turtle Bay. On the reef find Jack Crevalle, in the hole his lobster pie. Ay, 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 where am I gonna go when I die? I make no plans and I make no bet. I got to go, but I don't go yet. Welcome back to the Comedy Closet. You know, I know you've all had probably a long, stress-filled day. These are the stressed out 90s. So I thought maybe we could relax a little bit and harken back to simpler times. Times when a man's word was still his bond. When business deals were concluded with a handshake. And when philosophical differences were settled with a six-gun. That's right, I'm talking about the Reagan years. You know, I never thought I'd be saying this, but those were some comparatively good years. I would have had more fun had they told me how much fun I was having. Now they tell us it was one of those buy now, pay later deals. But hey, let's face it, it wasn't all that much fun. Remember, unemployment hit 11%? Then the president gets on the television. He was our first TV president, first real TV president. As a matter of fact, Bush is in so much trouble today that they're thinking of putting the Reagan administration into reruns. Anyway, he comes on the television and he tells us we should all quit complaining about the job shortage and become entrepreneurs. Yeah, I admit, I had to look it up. Entrepreneur. I thought it was French for prison food. Anyway, I thought I'd take the president's advice. I'd emulate my hero from the 80s, Donald Trump. So I called my father and asked him if he could lend me $12 million. Well, we're talking entrepreneurs here. How about that Victor Kiam fella? First he buys a razor, then he buys the company, then he buys a baseball team. So how come all of his players have 5 o'clock shadow? In 1985, a bunch of boat people moved into our neighborhood. Right away, I sensed an entrepreneurial opportunity. I turned our station wagon into a taxi cab. I figured they'd never get driver's license. Their feet don't even reach the pedals. The only problem with the taxi cab idea was they all sat on the outside of the car. Try collecting a fare from a guy that's sitting where you last saw your hood ornament. I just got back from a trip to California, drove 23 straight hours, and arrived in San Francisco just in time for rush hour. First thing I noticed, everybody drives with one hand there. With the other hand, they're talking on the phone, reading the paper, doing their nails. One guy's lifting weights. Another guy was selling encyclopedias. I almost bought a set, but he ran into the back of a moving van. I tried driving with one hand and eating breakfast with the other. Wound up with a nose full of Egg McMuffin. But I should have known better, because in Montana, I've never driven with less than 2 hands on the wheel. In fact, some nights coming back home from the bar, I I've got 3, maybe even 4 hands on the wheel. Up guy tonight. They told me to go out here and get the audience warmed up, so I figured let's cut to the chase. I just came back from a 5-country tour of Eastern Europe sponsored by the State Department. They're interested in getting the Eastern Europeans Americanized as quickly as possible. I went over there as a comedian, but they said I had to do 2 things at once because they're in such a hurry and they know that's the way we do things here in America, at least 2 things at once. So I chose aerobics. I tell you, there's a crying need for aerobics instructors over there in Eastern Europe. People are so big there, they have to take the armrest from the theater seats. Remember Khrushchev, right? He looked like a pot-bellied stove. Some of the peasants I saw over there looked like Bessemer furnaces. You know how they're always having shortages in Russia? Well, last summer when I was there, they had a bathing suit shortage. They gave the people these spray cans. They could spray bathing suit on. But you know what? Nobody seemed to notice because everything drooped over everything else. If you wanted to see something, it was like at the circus. You'd have to lift a flap. But in Germany, fat people are persecuted. At the checkout stand, they remove groceries from your cart. I met this large German woman. She was immigrating to the United States. Her idea of freedom in America was an Italian bakery in every neighborhood, no questions asked. You know, Freud theorized that Europeans overate because they were anxious about the future. They were worried about there might be tough times ahead. If this was so, wouldn't we all be fat as houses? By now, you're all saying to yourselves, hey, this guy's really coming down heavy on the heavyweights tonight. But you know, I'm a certified aerobics instructor. I have to look at these people all day long. You know one of the big disappointments starting out as an aerobics instructor? All your students look like baby belugas. Then, just when I thought it was safe to go back into the water, they come up with this low-impact aerobics thing. Now I feel like Jacques Cousteau. In these past couple of weeks, I probably swallowed more chlorine than Esther Williams. Another danger of the occupation is headaches. Boy, do we aerobics instructors get headaches. Especially when we're doing that leg kick thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my God. The area not only has the San Andreas Fault, it's a hotbed of aerobic activity. Where I work at my other job, we have these 3 sisters come in there every day. Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria. And the 3 of them get in, and then I fill it back up from a 5-gallon bucket. One of them was in the shower the other day. Someone snuck in there and cut a leg off a pair of her jeans. I don't know, I guess they wanted a denim tube tent or something. But let me just tell you something, it's never too late to start getting into shape. I mean, even with these gals here, one of the sisters has lost 50 pounds. Unfortunately, one of the other sisters has found it. First knew that I needed to get back into shape, a little old lady beat me in a shopping cart race. As we hit the straightaway to the checkout counter, she cut me off and sent me cartwheeling into the frozen foods. When I regained consciousness, I said to myself, buddy, you're not only out of shape, you're suffering from hypothermia. But you know, I thank the Lord every day for aerobics and what it's done for me. It's helped me turn my life around. Nevertheless, I gotta get out of this working at the spa thing. I mean, the place has become headquarters for hopeless cases. It's like this one guy brings his wife in for a consultation the other day. She was so fat, whenever he made dinner reservations, it was for Mr. Jones and Entourage. And did you know that for the first time in their history, Native Americans are having to watch their weight? That's because the white man killed off all their lean cuisine. We'll have more from the Comedy Closet in just a few moments. I just thought I'd take a couple of moments here to tell you a little bit about myself. I know you're probably wondering, who is this guy? Why haven't we caught his act before? Well, I think I mentioned that I've been on tour in 5 Eastern European countries. I mean, my name is a household word in Poland. Right up there with the foaming cleanser. Sweden wasn't on the tour, but I just thought I'd take a couple of days and run over there and check things out. You know, the winters are so long there, they actually have tanning salons for Negroes. I'm not a native Montanan. I came out here in 1964 while in the Air Force. But I spent my early teen years down in southern Florida. Remember the 50s? When everything was sort of an experiment? We had the X-rays, we had X-planes, we had everything but X-rated. People were so trusting back then. They weren't sure that you couldn't eat uranium. And what they were sure about, they didn't want to talk about. Hey, Mom, what's copulate mean? Go ask your father, maybe he remembers. Even the music back then was confused. On one station you'd be getting, how much is that doggy in the window? And on the other station you're getting, he's none but a hound dog, he's just rocking all the time. As a teenager, I used to wake up in a cold sweat, screaming in terror from this recurring nightmare. They're going to kill me! They're going to kill me! Who's going to kill you? I didn't know. 6 months later, I got my draft notice. But I fooled them. I was already in the Air Force. My parents were so out of it. When I came home from the recruiting office, I went and told them I was going to go away and learn about strange and foreign cultures. They thought I'd taken a job at a yogurt factory. But the Air Force wasn't that bad. It's the laid-back branch of the services, where officers are truly gentlemen. I mean, when you have to fly the plane, you don't mess with the guy that's tightening the bolts. I was assigned to SAC. That's the Strategic Air Command. We had a saying in SAC. What this country needs is a good 10-cent nuclear missile. When I got out of the Air Force, I went the other way. I started making a religious search. But actually, with religion, you don't have to go look for it. It finds you. In the mail, at the airport. Then I found one that kind of appealed to me. It was one of these new offbeat religions where you sit on the floor and wear a tablecloth. And then just when I start having a good time, this guy comes up to me and says, Hey, buddy, do you mind moving? You're sitting on the sacrificial altar. When my religious studies let me down, I turned to experimenting with drugs. The Geritol experiments were a dismal failure. Doc, can you give me something to make me feel 19 again? He said, try dating a 17-year-old cheerleader. Now aerobics has taken the place of both religion and drugs in my life. I can't tell you what aerobics has done to me, but I can tell you my tolerance for pain is way up. Before aerobics, I was so gone on drugs, I thought a long-range bomber was any joint over 4 inches in length. I used to take my vacations in South Dakota because someone told me Mount Rushmore was made of cocaine. Tell me, do you think it's just a coincidence that the 3 most abused drugs in America all come from the same country? Now, the government hasn't actually added coffee to its list of dangerous drugs, but the word is that Juan Valdez will soon be appearing on America's Most Wanted. You know what's ironic about the stars of America's Most Wanted? These are the same people that in their childhood were America's least wanted. Anyway, I went back into the doctor's office the other day just to get a checkup. I mean, I feel fine, but I just thought I'd get a checkup. Doc tells me I've added 10 years to my ordeal. And speaking of ordeals, I just got to tell you about this Indian brave who was accused of violating the chief's daughter. The trial was held. The chief read the verdict. You have molested the virgin princess. The sentence is death. Custom demands you be given a choice. You may be buried up to your neck before the incoming tide, or you may be staked upon the rocks to be devoured by the crabs. The young brave thought a moment, and then he said, I'll take the tide, Chief. I'm already being devoured by the crabs. You know, one of the great influences in my young life was a comic by the name of Don Rickles. I just could not believe that a guy would get paid big bucks to go out and insult people. And he was so thoughtful of his audience. You know, if you felt like you weren't insulted enough during the show, he had an 800 number. And speaking of being insulted, how about those Japanese? You know, the Germans, they invented the airbag. Now Chrysler has it. But as usual, the Japanese are dragging their feet. They did make one small concession, though. Their 150-mile-an-hour sports cars now come with built-in body bags. Hey, this is no war on drugs. It's a war on Colombia. Remember how Nancy Reagan started that whole just say no thing? For the longest time, I thought she meant food. You know, soon after the Reagans knew they were going to the White House, Nancy went to see a plastic surgeon. She had the skin removed from her skull, and she was given a single coat of appliance white. They call this surgical technique flaying. That's what they called it in ancient Rome, too, only back then it was free to Christians and Jews. We'll be back with more from the Comedy Closet. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Comedy Closet. Now, if you know where your children are and it's somewhere other than in the living room, so much the better, because tonight's subject is of an adult nature. Tonight we're going to discuss trends in modern dating. You know, when I first came to Montana back in 1964, the guys were still picking up women in the old-fashioned way, by the elbows. Now things have changed. They've gotten more sophisticated, subtle. The indirect approach is very popular. The barroom was always the traditional place to go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Comedy Closet. I know you've probably all put in a stress-filled day, these being the stress-filled 90s. So right now, I'd just like you to relax, and let me take you back to simpler times. Times when a man's word was still his bond. Times when a business deal was sealed with a handshake. Times when philosophical differences were settled with a six-gun. That's right, folks. I'm talking about the Reagan years. You know, I never thought I'd be saying this, but those were some comparatively good years. I would have had more fun had I known how much fun I was having. Now they tell us it was one of those buy now, pay later deals. But let's face it, it wasn't really that much fun, was it? Remember, unemployment was running about 11%, and the president comes on the TV. He was our first TV president, you know. As a matter of fact, Bush is in so much trouble, they're thinking about putting the Reagan administration into reruns. Anyway, he gets on the TV, and he tells us we should all become entrepreneurs. I had to look it up. Entrepreneur. I thought it was French for prison food. Anyway, I thought I'd take the president's advice, emulate my hero from the 80s, Donald Trump. So I got on the phone, called my father, asked him if he'd lend me $12 million. Talking entrepreneurs here. How about that Victor Kiam fella? First he buys a razor, then he buys the company, then he buys a baseball team. So how come all of his players have 5 o'clock shadow? Around 1985, a bunch of boat people moved into our neighborhood. Right away, I sensed an entrepreneurial opportunity. I turned the station wagon into a taxi cab. I figured they never get driver's licenses. Their feet don't even reach the pedals. The only problem with the taxi cab idea was they all sat on the outside of the car. Ever try collecting a fare from a guy that's sitting where you last saw your hood ornament? Not too long ago, I took a trip to California, 23 straight hours, and I wind up in San Francisco just in time for the rush hour. The first thing I noticed was everybody down there drives with one hand. With the other hand, they're talking on the phone, reading the paper, doing their nails. One guy was lifting weights. Another guy was selling encyclopedias. I would have bought a set too, but he ran into the back of a semi just as we were closing the deal. I tried driving with one hand and eating breakfast with the other. Wound up with a nose full of Egg McMuffin. But I should have known I couldn't handle it because in Montana I never drive with one hand on the wheel. I've always got at least 2 hands on the wheel. And sometimes late at night coming home from the bar, I've got 3, even 4 hands on the wheel. Recently I made a 5-country tour of Eastern Europe. On the way over there we stopped in Sweden. Do you know the winters are so long there they have tanning salons for Negroes? One thing I could not believe was how large the people are in Eastern Europe. They're not tall, just wide. I had to remove the arms from the theater seats. You remember Khrushchev? Looked like a pot-bellied stove. Some of the Russian peasants I saw, they looked like Bessemer furnaces. You know how they're always running out of things? Well, last summer when I was there, they had a bathing suit shortage. They gave everybody spray paint. You could spray your bathing suit on. You know something? Nobody noticed. Because everything droops over everything else. If you want to see something, it's like at the circus. You have to lift a flag. Germany. In Germany, things are different. In Germany, fat people are persecuted. At the supermarket checkout, they remove things from your grocery cart. I met this large German woman. She was immigrating to the United States. For her, freedom in America was an Italian bakery in every neighborhood, no questions asked. Freud theorized Europeans overate because subconsciously they were afraid there might be tough times ahead. Hey, if that was so, wouldn't we all be fat as houses? By now you're all probably saying to yourselves, hey, this guy's really coming down heavy on the heavyweights tonight. But look, I'm a certified aerobics instructor. I have to look at these people all day. You know, one of the big disappointments starting out as an aerobics instructor? All your students look like baby belugas. Now the latest thing is this low-impact water aerobics. I swear I feel like Jacques Cousteau. Just when I thought it was safe to go back in the water. Past 2 weeks, I probably swallowed more chlorine than Esther Williams. Being on dry land was no picnic. I used to get these headaches you wouldn't believe. When you have to do those leg kick things, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what caused the San Francisco earthquake? The area not only has the San Andreas Fault, it's a hotbed of aerobic activity. And at the spa where I work at my day job, we have these 3 sisters come in every day. Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria. First I drain the hot tub, and the 3 of them get in. Then I refill it from a 5-gallon bucket. When one of them was in the shower the other day, someone cut a leg off a pair of her jeans. I don't know, I guess they wanted a Levi tube tent or something. You know when I first knew I needed to get into shape? A little old lady beat me in a shopping cart race. As we hit the straightaway, she cut me off and sent me cartwheeling into the frozen foods. When I regained consciousness, I said to myself, buddy, you're not only out of shape, you're suffering from hypothermia. But even after all that aerobics has done for me, I still got to get out of this working at the spa thing. I mean, the place has become a headquarters for hopeless cases. I brought his wife in for a consultation. She was so fat, whenever he made dinner reservations, it was for Mr. Jones and Entourage. Now, I don't mean to be picking on the women here. I mean, this guy, he was huge, too. The 2 of them took a trip to Greece. At the border, they were detained by the customs. It seemed they were under suspicion for trying to smuggle out columns from the Acropolis. I finally had to tell them that there really wasn't much the spa could do for them. I sent them down to Bert's Auto Upholstery, get themselves tucked and rolled. Now, did you know that for the first time in their history, Native Americans are having to watch their weight? It's because the white man killed off all their lean cuisine. Stay tuned now, won't you? We'll have more from the Comedy Closet in just a couple of minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Comedy Closet. My name's Mango Avocado, and we're going to be taping here tonight for the Missoula Community Access Television. That's MCAT, and later on in a couple of weeks, perhaps, we'll have this show on the TV. So if you're real lucky and you stay up real late, you may get a chance to see the back of your head on television. It's really great to have a live show here. I'm gratified to see so many people showed up. It's we're going to have Michael Vernon come out here in just a couple of minutes. But right now, I just wanted to say that, well, you're a great-looking audience. In fact, I haven't seen so many interesting faces since I watched America's Most Wanted the other night. You know the funny thing about America's Most Wanted? These are the same people that in their youth were America's Least Wanted. Well, I also want to welcome all you people that came in from out of town. I know we have some Bitterrooters here in the audience. I could tell by the number of llamas in the parking lot. You know, in South America, we have a saying, un animal muy caro que esputando en su abajo, which means a very expensive animal that spits in your face. I want to thank Tom Robinson for coming down and bringing Skippy the Wonder Dog. Skippy's going on 130 years old. If you don't believe me, just wait till he farts. We're very fortunate to have Tom with us tonight. He's in great demand among performing artists everywhere, where he's affectionately known as the human laugh track. You know, before he realized his talent, he was shamelessly used by the Richard Nixon administration. He used to send him around to sabotage the speeches of his political opponents. You might remember Tom's laugh from the speech that JFK delivered, wherein Jack said, "Ask not what your country can do for you." Well, I was so stupid in those days, I went ahead and asked anyway. 3 weeks later, I got my draft notice. Right now, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce to you a young fellow with a lot of talent. He's a comedian, he's an actor, he's a musician, and he's a singer, and he's a Missoulian. So would you please welcome Mr. Michael Verdon.
I had a dream. It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, and forever in peace may she wave. She's an emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Just kidding. You know, even the President of the United States of America is allowed to kid around a little bit. You know, I don't think I've told a joke since, well, it was 1988, and I announced Dan Quayle as my running mate. But I hope I got your attention, because I'd like to introduce you to some new programming. Click. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Friends, it's so wonderful to be here tonight. Ladies and genitals, it's such a rare opportunity. I get the chance to host such great indignitaries of this wonderful notion. But friends, ladies and genitals, first I should like to tell you about my Escondido evacuation. It might be a summer day, it might be hot, so bring your whole family down to the Lawrence Welk Avenue and Champaign Street. The whole family can take a dump in one of our famous swimming pools. Moms, you can catch you some sun, and dads, you can take your putters to the nearest hole on the 3-par course. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And now, friends, a man that I've tracked down from Tahoe, Reno, and Las Vegas. A lounge gizzard and one of my favorites. Mr. Ron Retentive. Let's rock. the bottom, I go back to the top of the slide, where I stop and I turn and I'm going for a ride till I get to the bottom and I see you again. Helter skelter, yes, 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 helter skelter. I got blisters on my fingers. Perhaps you're wondering how I do it. It's very simple. I just add a few words and a few syllables, yeah, to get that sound like I might as well be a person with a lot of song, yeah. Even when it comes to opera, Fake, 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 Figaro. Fake, 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 Figaro, Figaro. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Wasn't that just as special? And now, friends, I wish my wife Fern were here, but she's being variegated. Friends, it would be her privilege to reproduce with you. This next person, to you, he's been known as quite trucky ducky, but to me he's a pretty dicky. Friends, Mr. Richard Nixon. My fellow Americans, now it's always been my real ambition, you say, because to be a singer. Now, I don't think politics is truly my bag. But tonight, it's my privilege to perform for you one of the greatest pop hits of this century, and my favorite tune. Yesterday, lives were such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, there's a shadow hanging over me. Must be the plague. I'm not half the man I used to be. Yesterday came suddenly. Why? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, thank you. And friends, now not to be outdicked, but surely outducked, here's another holder of the same high office. And the rumor has it he was high in that office. See if you can recognize this man. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing in them, to die, to sleep, no more. And by a sleep to say we end the heartaches and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. And now a word from our sponsor. Well, kind of hard to top that. You know, I was asked if I'd like to participate and bring my pipes. Well, I can't remember where I left them. So I thought I'd just tell you about Nancy and me. Yeah. Well, we eat right, we exercise, and we take Geritrex. You know, you could spend all of your life going in through the outdoor, but with Geritrex, what goes in one door comes out another. Extra foul is what you get when you buy Geritrex. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, friends, Geritrex brought to you by the makers of Geritol, a wonderful new high-fiber cereal. If you've never been one to do much jogging, you'll sure be one with the trots. And now, friends, to fulfill his dream and your dream, friends, here's a tiny tot, his debut performance with the rock and roll. Hold me tight, wild thing, and squeeze me like a lemon until the juice run down my leg. Wild thing, you make my heart sing. Wild thing, think I love you. Oh. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Ladies and genitals, it's very rarely that you're going to find me in this situation. Tonight, I thought I'd better put my thumb on the line. Tonight, I should like to take this opportunity. Who would have thought that one day I would be performing a wonderful classic rock and roll hit by the Beatles. In a town in North Dakota, lived a man who sailed the sea, and he told us of his life in the Salmonex factory. We all live in the Salmonex factory, a Salmonex factory, a Salmonex factory. We all live in the Salmonex factory, a Salmonex factory, a Salmonex factory. And our friends are all on the board. Kitty Dukakis and Betty Ford Sky is blue and sea is green. In the Somonex factory. We all live in the Somonex factory. All together now. Somonex factory. Somonex factory. We all live in the Somonex factory. A Somonex factory. A Somonex factory. Thank you, ladies and genitals. And now I'd like to close this a particular bad dream by resurrecting straight from the grave that he's at in Renton, Washington. Friends, here's a Jimi Hendrix with a patronizing effort. I got my instrument. That too. So, I sat up in my bed. After all, I was just dreaming. But no, in front of me stood a very ominous figure. And it's not that one. There stood a very ominous figure, and I recognized that figure. Submitted for your consideration. The everyday world. A demented dream, probably caused by drug abuse and self-abuse. A journey not only of time and space, but that of mind. See that signpost up ahead? Ignore it. You have just entered into the Twilight Zone. So I thought I was done dreaming. But he was still there. Now, perhaps you've been wondering why I've been so visible in the public eye lately. Well, there's one reason for that. Money. You see, I give a speech. I make lots of money. I write a book. I make even more money, you see. But on top of that, the thing I'd like to discuss with you is this. Now, for many, many years, there was a secret mission I was on with the CIA, you see. So well guarded was this secret that even my wife, Pat, didn't know about it. Now, Pat's my main squeeze. I tell her everything. And I call her my main squeeze, you see, because every night before we go to bed, she reaches over and grabs a hold of my nose and squeezes. And sometimes I get the wild hair and I do the same thing. Now, you should have seen what happened when I tried that on Betty Ford. Now, they don't call me Tricky Dicky for nothing. When I was with the CIA, I had a code name. That's spy talk. The Master of Disguise. Pardon my gas. Because when the president farts, people listen. So, read my lips. Now, I'm telling you, when I said 1,000 points of light, I was being kind, you see. Why, that means those other 600 that didn't make the Forbes 400 felt much better. I should also tell you that my wife, Barbara, doubles as Pat Nixon. Dan Quayle doubles as Sparrow Agnew. His wife doubles as the Queen of England, and our dog doubles as Margaret Thatcher. And it's time to breed the bitch. I know, I just thought I'd throw in a bit of more kidding around. You see, that was just a trick. Thanks, Dick. And really why I gathered everybody here, I needed some advice. Perhaps you could help me on this particular crisis. Here's the advice I received from former President Jimmy Carter.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I think you should just go down to Panama and get that guy right out of there.
Jimmy, that was last Christmas.
Oh, I don't know.
I think what I need is some advice on the current situation in the Gulf.
Well, if you need me to go over and watch elections to make sure they're fair and honest, I'll be more than happy to do that.
That's all right. To make things even brighter still, Groucho Marx has the best idea. A singing telegram. Now, this doesn't reflect at all upon my phallic abilities. It's just small. You know what they say about guys who build big guns? Oh, Sodom, Why are you such a brute? Oh, Sodom, we're gonna give you the boot. We think that your aggression has left a bad impression. Our great big guns, our techno war is soon to make your ass real sore. Oh, Sodom, can it be just a fluke? Oh, Sodom, you'll bring back the Hitler Youth. I think you will. I ought to know. I'm a Jew. We really don't like your hatred. You say your goals are sacred. You say Israel is one big whore. If you keep this up, we'll be at war. Oh, Sodom, you make me want to puke. Oh, Sodom, next thing you want Dubuque. You know, I heard this. Some big oil company dropped a well in Dubuque. They went all the way to China. When they got to China, they went over to India. When they got to India, they kept on going. They went over to Iraq. They found where them great big lakes are. They sucked out all the oil, and they brought it back. We got it, and he's kind of mad. You tell the world it's holy war, and most of us think that that's a bore. With Amorites you want to annex by pleasing Iranian sex. Oh, Sodom, you're playing a dirty game. Oh, Sodom, you've been labeled quite insane. With chemicals you threat to kill, we hear this, we get no thrill. At borders where your troops will meet with neutron bombs, they'll see defeat. Oh, Sodom, it's clear you got no guts. Oh, Sodom, keeping hostages in targeted huts. Oh, Sodom, soon you'll be with Noriega. Oh, Sodom, and living in a caged bodega.
And I should remind you that the dream was not over. I was still dreaming. And you know how in dreams you're in your hometown, right? You know why, but you're there. So like if Butte was your hometown, and you're walking along in Butte, and you look up and you see this Virgin Mary. It's put there to protect the pit. And some great genius in your dream comes along and takes Manhattan and places it right in the pit. It could happen. Get rid of two problems. But no, you're walking down the street in your hometown, and all of a sudden it's Los Angeles or Seattle or Missoula or whatever. You know, it's somewhere else, but it's still your hometown. And you're represented by someone else, and other people are other people, but they're other people. And like you're talking to your best friend, he ends up being your worst enemy. You're having sex with your girlfriend, she ends up looking like your sister. And this happened to me. On the same theme where we're at right now, you know. You know, it ain't easy. It ain't easy being Batman's Joker and trying to point fingers at bad guys in the golf set. You know, you just want to be cool, calm, and collected. But there's no reason to be cool, calm, or collected because they're mad men. And mad men will do mad things. And when mad men do mad things, it makes me real mad. Oh, Samantha. The only people who aren't mad are the people that got the capital gains. And they're the ones who don't got the SNL groin paw. Can you say groin paw? Sure. I like the way you say groin paw. Sure. That's kind of like a groin paw. That's really a groin paw. Sure. Hi. Hi, Mom. Can you say hi, Mom? I like that. Sure, I like the way you say that.
Friends, this is called a guitar. Sure, guitar. And it's made of wood. Hard wood. Can you say woody? Sure. Some of you don't want to say woody. Some of you are scared by woody. That's why they put rape boxes on campus. In all the lighted areas. Can you say budget? How about deficit spending? Sure. That's right. The time has come. The point is reached. A reckoning among our chiefs. They sat and stewed for many a month. They got the blues and no triumph. It's called the budget. We're gonna tough it. We're paying more for gas and the programs they'll slash. For the rich it might be rough, but it still ain't enough. Oh yes, the budget. For 10 or 12 years they've been in all the wrong gears, debating bodily fluids and morals, not confronting monetary quarrels. That's right, sure. The budget. And now I signed it. We lived high off the hog, not worrying about smog. We knew we'd never agree to the same agenda. That's right, the budget. Sure. They kept us quite distracted when the rich men paid no taxes. That's right. They talked about the burning of flags. All this while the economy sagged. Woe's me, sure. The budget. They're gonna shove it. Bend over me and you, it's going up our wazoos. Can you say wazoo? Sure. So prick up your ears, they'll tax your derrieres with the budget. And now all this talk about recession is giving me a depression. And they didn't learn their lesson on election day for squandering our money that decrepit way. That's right. The budget. We might as well flush it. It's coming out in the stores, it's on great big rolls. It comes 3-ply, so wipe your buns dry with a budget. So do you folks need a break? Doesn't look like it. Good, we'll keep going. And now I'd like to depart from the dream. The dream is over. Sure. Every male on the planet Earth goes through this first thing in the morning. No, first I'd like to talk about something here. I was going to get on it, but no, I think it's more important that I demonstrate for you what pedestrians should not do when they hear a bike coming behind them on campus. Oh, I hear a bike, I better move. Stay in one place. Keep on the direction you're going because it'll go around you. You hope.
I was walking across the walk bridge not too long ago, and a biker went by and said, "Hey, give me some room!" I don't know, it was a walk bridge. Well, I just pissed off all the bikers here. And they're always going this fast. No, really, lately I've been concerned about my health, you see. It's become very important to me that I exercise, eat right, take chair tracks. And so it's just, excuse me if I catch a little exercise. Walking with my baby, she got great big feet. She long, lean, and lanky, and ain't had nothing to eat, but she's my baby. And I love her just the same. Crazy about you, baby, 'cause Caledonia is your name. Caledonia, Caledonia, what make you big and so hard? No, I love you just the same. Crazy about that woman, 'cause Caledonia is her name. You know? My mama, she told me, leave Caledonia alone. That's what she said. No kidding. She said, son, keep away from that girl. She ain't no good. But mama didn't know what Caledonia was putting out. So I'm going down to Caledonia's one more time to find out. Caledonia! Caledonia! What make you big and so hard? You know what that guy was finding? Sin. He has gone down to Caledonia's and he was running into sin. And the wages of sin is death. Do you ever think of yourself as being dead? Lying in a box with a lid on it? Apparently you do. I wouldn't think about it if I were you. You'd only get depressed. Because you'd be in there forever. It'd be like being asleep in a box. Not that I'd like to sleep in a box, mind you, not without any air. You'd wake up dead for a start, and then where would you be apart from inside a box? That's the bit I don't like, frankly. Because you'd be in there forever. Even taking into account the fact that one is dead. It isn't a very pleasant thought. Really ask yourself, if I asked you, yes, you, I'm going to put you in this box. Would you rather be alive Or would you rather be dead? Naturally, you'd prefer to be alive. Life in a box is better than no life at all. You could lie there thinking, well, at least I'm not dead. In a minute, someone's going to bang on the lid and tell me to come out of here. Hey, you, what's your name? Get out of there! But I wouldn't think about it if I were you. You'd only get depressed. Eternity is a terrible thought. I mean, where is it going to end? You've got to have faith. Faith. When I look out into your eyes, when I look in your faces, you know what I see? I see a little bit of Elvis in each and every one of you. That's because Elvis is in everybody and he's in everything. Elvis is in food. He's in the Big Macs you eat. Elvis is in that creamy filling in the middle of a Twinkie. And that's because you pass Elvis through you see. Making your life a musical movement. Elvis is in your fabric. He's in the things that you wear on your body. He's in your jeans. That's right. And it ain't no Wranglers or Levi's because Lee or Wranglers, he's in your Levi's. Ain't none of these other hashish dreams and jeans. He's in your Levi's, and I know this because I have analyzed it. I have taken the word Levi's and I have respelled it. That's right, it spells Elvis. Elvis's wrath is amazing. Why do you think there's a devil's triangle? Elvis. Elvis was really Da Vinci and Michelangelo, Sonny and Cher. And Elvis is talking to you. He is. He's speaking. If you open up and listen, he will tell you. He will. Brother, I can see you holding on to your beer. And Elvis is inside you. He's talking. He's saying, open up. He wants you to sing. He wants you to sing like the king. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, brother. Elvis makes me think of women. You know, my first experience with women, I was 6 years old. Usually when someone says that, you think he's going to talk about the bushes, you know? No, I was shy. Had a crush on a very beautiful girl. At least when when there's sex, you don't look at genitals. You just look, wow, she's cute. And she decided to talk to me one day, walk home from school with me. Of course, I didn't know what to think. I was nervous. So we got to the first intersection. I took this as my opportunity to get away, and I ran out and got hit by a car. It's a true story, by the way. Actually, I didn't get hit by the car. I hit the car. Yellow. She was laughing. She thought it was funny. Well, that can jade a man, and I'm jaded. I'll tell you about a particular kind of gal that I went out with once. Women, I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend you. This has just been my experience. Okay, you don't believe me, huh? You really want to think that I'm some kind of big sissy, huh? Well, I got a rose up my ass for you, and you can believe it. It isn't the women I'm looking at all, it's the boys. Why do you think I like to watch the Lawrence Welk show? Because he's got the boys on it, you see. Soft, svelte young boys with protruding buttocks. Nice form-fitting wrists. Oh. He wants in on some of the action. Look, he got closer. Say, I just saw a good movie. It was really good. It was called The Cook, The Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. I loved it. My kind of movie. You got people eating food in restaurants the whole time. And not one decent arrangement of roses or ferns or anything.
Where was it?
It's at the Dove Theater. It's almost as tacky as I am. No, back on the theme of women. Excuse me. Thanks. That was actually done by Mr. Baker over there. He's a ventriloquist. No. There are some categories here. I hate to have to do it. But there's the category of Twinkle Dolly. I like to call them Twinkle Dollies because they twinkle. They twinkle. Hi. I'm upward and mobile, and I have no problem with emasculating any male. I went out with one of these gals once. I was in love. But there was no truck. And she cried to get her way. She cried a lot to get her way. And whenever she cried, it was my responsibility to calm her down. And once I calmed her down from her crying fit, she would always suck my thumb. I kid you not. She liked this. It's kind of like a dog licking the salt off your flesh. I don't know. Yeah. Now if I could just get a cute little boy to suck my thumb. We're sorry, this portion of the show has been edited for MCAT. Another type of gal. Well, see, what happens is, she grows up to become the, what do you call it, the professional woman. No, not Bruce, the professional woman. And when she gets there, you see, that smile, hi, turns into this. Because she's professional, and she's got a job to do, and she's going to do it well. Want to buy a house? How about a loan? And they want their equality, and I think they should have it. I think they should have it. I really do. It's been too damn long. This has been going on. The presidency, the Congress, women, all women. Supreme Court, all women. Representatives to the UN, I am serious, women. Heads of the corporations, women. Then we can go fishing. Do we really want to deal with these problems, huh? Do we want to deal with it? Oh yeah, like I want to deal with bureaucracy. No, hey, take it. It's yours. You can probably do good with it. Depends on where you look. Depends on the kind you're going for. See, I like to catch the 15-inch pink trout. Now there's another female that I'd like to dedicate to. One starts out as the idealistic, artistic-minded female. And she's very critical of art and movies, and very well educated. And she progresses to what I like to call the avid protector of the Terrans. Terrans being, it's just a new word I just learned, Terrans. Everything that on the earth that's alive, it's Terran. And we're going to do a private show for the Bitterroot Flower Shop employees one of these nights. Anyway, this song is dedicated to the avid protector of the Terrans. Oh, shit, I hate it when that happens. A headband for Veronica, a tie-dye t-shirt for Jeff, a brown ceramic tile I'll wear around my neck. But the year is almost over, I'm sad to see it end. With the holidays upon us, a season's greeting I must send. 'Cause we're having an Earth First Christmas, hop on board a plane, leave my friends and head on home, be with my parents again. They live in a big, huge mansion out east in Delaware. We'll have lots of turkey with leftovers and styrofoam and Tupperware. I'll get some brand new Birkenstocks, a Rolex watch that I can hawk. Grandma give me money, on the phone I'll call my honey. And when I hear her sweet little voice, I'll miss her all the same. But that's nothing new because she's a Jew and she celebrates Christmas like me and you. And she's having an Earth First Christmas somewhere in Kennebunkport, Maine. Her daddy plays lots of golf, plays polo tennis and jogs a lot. And when he beats George Bush at golf, he puts the man to shame. But you know they're buds and you know it's 'cause her rich daddy gives to campaign funds. You see, her daddy's head of Exxon, her mom chairs a savings and loan. But that's okay, I like it that way. You see, they bailed us out of jail. I couldn't tell my daddy about us spiking trees. As chairman of Weyerhaeuser, he'd have broken both of my knees. And I'm having an Earth First Christmas, sleeping in past noon. Earth First Christmas, gonna be without my poon. But soon it'll all be over, we'll be together again. Living inside a Volkswagen van, spiking trees hand in hand. And when I called my honey, she screamed and cried a lot. It seems that her rich daddy killed a moose with only one shot. She got real mad when she saw their tree all decorated real nice. So she took a solid platinum spike and into that tree she drove it inside. And she's having an Earth First Christmas, but she's crying on her knees. I didn't have the heart to tell her that her folks owned an artificial tree. I guess this spoils all our plans to see the Grateful Dead. 'Cause without her daddy's old Learjet, we'll have to listen to the records instead. And we're having an Earth First Christmas for a couple of spoiled brats. Earth First Christmas, we like being Democrats. And if she cries a lots and lots, she'll finally get her way. And when she's done, we'll have lots of fun, 'cause we'll get to the concert via Air Force One. And we're having an Earth First Christmas, hop on board a plane. Earth First Christmas, be with my parents again. They live in a big, huge mansion out east in Delaware. We'll have lots of turkey and leftovers in styrofoam and Tupperware. And a partridge in a pear tree.
Now, as I close the show, I should like now to give a little of what I think the world needs now, Mr. Muchmo Satchmo.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. The woods get wild, Scooby-Doo and Thelma Doo, Shaggy, Freddy, Daphne, and Goose in the Mystery Van. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Try again. Okay, fellas, cut. Cut. Enough.
Looks like you were shooting real blanks, all right. ammunition.
How many did you have in here?
4.
Cut, fellas. Pipe down. That's enough. Do it again, because I forgot to cover it up. No, it was good. Just do it again. We'll get it. I forgot to cover it. Do me a favor.
That's good. That's best yet.
That's enough. Pipe down. I forgot the, okay. Too many lines. Once again.
I think that's really good that they're, still singing even
Yeah.
after all of that.
It's a wonderful statement on reality.
But, okay. Okay, pipe down. That's enough. Prairie fiddle, also sometimes called a ukulele, as opposed to ukulele, like violin. But, well, you could say viol out. When you leave, you can viol out that way, like those. And it was used sometimes for a musical tie back in old prairie balls and dances. White ties were in more then than now, I guess, so it's. See if I can demonstrate a few tunes, but the sequined silk cowboy underwear is getting to me. One little bead. Do it. There we go. Smell better. There we go. Try to get this.
Not very well made.
Let's see what other thing we can do.
Where's that bag or all? She's sort of getting ready to leave.
It's kind of cool, actually. Mark, you got to get out of this thing and do it. Do it right. Okay. There we go. Watch this. Never marry an old widow, I'll tell you the reason why. She'll blow her nose in old cornbread and call it pumpkin pie. Come. Shouldn't have done that. You see, play the thing. I don't know. Come on, play it. It's bad for the. It's dangerous for my new set of dentures here. I don't want to mess them up. Come on, you could say go. And then I try it and I get into it. Then I go. Shouldn't have done that. This here is kind of pretty. This here is an old, very early harmonica holder, and also used as one of the first manufactured neck braces.
braces. Kind of. I don't have to do too much. Just take it easy and kind of fall to a semi-sleep. Hey, maybe there's a pawn shop here that might have one. You know, I've seen all that. Really? In fact,
I don't know if we got one. We got a mandolin banjo.
no, this thing is, when you play your last one, you kind of fit your hand into this mechanical arm like the devil. Test your slides and knees. This, you know, and the other hand plays the chords. And it's one string with a metal bar, like a Hawaiian guitar. Third man, hey, you know what I'll do, Marco? You come down and visit me and bring your camera with you, okay? I'll do that?
Sure.
And we'll record it down there outside of the caboose. You know, maybe use the sheepherder's wagon. If I can extricate the rattlesnakes and rats and pants rats, leg wolves,